Hello friends and family from around the world, this is Mike with Morning Dew, daily events worldwide, and we are on March 16th, 2021. Welcome to another surviving day on the planet, and welcome to the Daily Dew, where we look at world events and as well solar events, earthquakes, volcanoes, looking here at the last 48 hours on the sun, as we do have that Earth-facing coronal hole and sunspot region. Looking here at last 48 hours incoming. And yes, that cresting sunspot that I was looking at definitely is big. Looking here at last 48 hours outgoing. And as well a closer look at this cresting pretty sizable sunspot. And it's got some active filaments all around it. Looking at our sun, another light here. And if you look in the bottom right corner, we did have a backside C.M.E. Looking here, another light, you can see the coronal hole stretching towards the equator and becoming Earth-facing. And here's a look at the backside C.M.E. showing up on LASCO 2, LASCO 3. SOHO imagery. Definitely a good coronal mass ejection. Luckily it was not an Earth-facing C.M.E. Looking here, LASCO 3, and that bright region there, that is Venus getting ready to go on the other side of the sun. Looking here, real-time solar wind, as we are really calm now at 361 to 81 kilometers per second. After being up over 500 for a couple days there. Schumann resonance for today, a power of 14. Still very calm frequency. Base frequency, max 7.92. A quality of 11.4. Let's have a look at earthquakes the last 24 hours. Most recently here, South America, 5.7 West Chile rise at a 10-kilometer depth, and that was just after a pretty another 5.7 Carlsberg Ridge. Looking here, 4.8 and as well at 4.4 Argentina and Chile, 4.1 Peru, through Nicaragua there, 4.3 right by Momotombo, as well Puerto Rico today, 2.9 to 3.3. And as well 3.5 to 3.7 Dominican Republic. Looking across the United States, another 2.5 here in Eastboro, Kansas. As well as sizable 2.7 in Gardendale, Texas. 3.1 and a 3.2 there, White City. 2.7 in Calipatria, California. That's the Salton Sea. Seeing some minor earthquakes continuing and numerous there. As well, Petrolia, California. And then a 3.6 as well here in Chalice. 3.6 and a 2.5. And Alaska, seeing a lot of smaller quakes today as well. 3.1 there, 2.7. And then here, big boom, 6.6 earlier today. And this was Kamchatka, Russia, right off the Kamchatka. Very active volcanoes throughout that region. As well, a 4.9 here reported in Russia. 4.6 here, Volcano Islands region, Japan. 5.1 reported here, Banda Sea, 155 kilometer depth. As well, a deep earthquake here, Papua New Guinea, 4.4 at 185 kilometer depth. 4.6 there, Vanuatu. And then, yeah, we've seen the earthquakes decrease here and kind of stop rumbling in the Kermadec. Seems the activity has moved northward. And then here, a 5.6, Carlsberg Ridge along the Indian Plate into African Plate. As well, a 4.6 in Sega, China. Mongolia. African plate, nothing to talk about. As well, a 4.9 here reported in the Greenland Sea. So the North Pole seeing a sizable earthquake today as well. That's the last 24 hours for earthquakes. Warned regions have popped up. Let's have a look at the last 7 days. Earth kind of looks like a human pincushion right now. All these elevated and deep earthquakes. Increasing activity through the African plate. Up into the North Pole. Quiet through Juan de Fuca and the Cascades. North American plate. And as well through the Central America. So those are 2 regions still on watch for my eyes and in my thoughts. Let's have a look at the Pacific Disaster Center, showing the most recent volcanoes being updated today. Sangay in Ecuador, Dakono in Indonesia, Pacaya in Guatemala, Popo in Mexico, Sabancaya in Peru, as well Reventador, Fuego, Suetsanajima, C.M.E, Indonesia, Era in Japan, Sinabung, Indonesia, Etna in Italy, and Mamatombo in Nicaragua, Lubotolo, Indonesia. We could go on, but there's about 12 being updated today that are actively erupting. As well, across the United States, thoughts and prayers and safety going out to parts of southeastern United States. Tornado warnings already popping up, parts of Missouri and moving eastward to Georgia. Tsunami watches went out earlier, and no buoys went into event mode, so there was no tsunami imminent from that large 6.6 reported here, 6.9 earthquake in Russia, Kamchatka, Russia. So the watches went out, but there was no tsunami imminent. Thank the Lord. I mean, it was a pretty sizable earthquake, and we're starting to see these large earthquake numbers increase, already beating out last year's total numbers for 5s, magnitudes. Let's get to the 5-day forecast brought to you by MeteoEarth, Meteo Mike. And we're going to be starting out here in Calgary, Alberta, home base. As we still have that large low pressure system on the west coast there, spinning and fueling in all of that warm Pacific air. It was beautiful out today. And once the sun goes down, it cools right off. But cooler temperatures have dipped pretty far south through the United States, and as well moving eastward into Canada, eastern Canada. But watch as this system moves through, finally, in the long-range forecast. Low pressure system will be heading through northern Alberta, Saskatchewan, and colder temperatures will be fueling down behind that. So winter is definitely not over. We still got a week left until official spring. Pretty big systems on there on the west coast. And watch for that system to play out through the upper Midwest of the United States as well. Heavy snow through the mountainous regions, Sierra Nevada, and down into Colorado. And then here, watch as this low pressure system moves through from Thursday to Saturday. Watch for extreme weather across the United States, southeastern parts, and as well the whole eastern seaboard. You can see this long line of moisture affecting Atlantic Canada right down to the Carolina States. So this is a warning for eastern seaboard of North America, pretty much, as that big system will be rolling through. Overlooking Europe, high pressure ridge still over the United Kingdom, and that quick low that I was talking about yesterday over Sweden is going to quickly still forecast move down to the Mediterranean. Should be interesting player in the long range forecast for the Mediterranean. And then as well, you can see another large low pressure system, pretty strong one too, heading into parts of Sweden and Russia. overlooking Africa. No major events to talk about. Daily evaporation rains continue. Could see some heavy rains there towards parts of Zambia, South Africa. Across the Indies, dry. Through China, watch for rain throughout the week. Indonesia, daily evaporation rains. Malaysia could see some heavier later in the week. And then Australia. Interesting developments over Australia. Some pretty intense weather systems will be moving into southeastern parts of Sydney. Could see some pretty extreme weather along the coastline here. But then in the long range forecast, watch for a dipping low pressure system here through central Australia coming from the Northern Territory. You could see a doozy of an extreme weather event, parts of southeastern Australia, flash flooding conditions. So heads up, Australia. Overlooking New Zealand, high pressure ridge, keeping things dry. Overlooking the Hawaiian Islands, daily evaporation rains throughout the week. Nothing major though. Western United States coast, west coast, dry, except for upper Midwest. No major systems to talk about in Central America. One system here to talk about in South America, affecting the Argentina border. You could see some pretty intense weather there as well. Forecast model showing some pretty high cloud tops and vigorous winds. I'm going to leave you here looking at the southern hemisphere versus the northern for winds and major systems that will be affecting us in the long range forecast. Again, I want to thank you all for watching. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so now. And much love to you all. Stay aware and prepared, stay young and have fun, and get your morning dew. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends and family from across the world.